All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Andre Ward making a crazy prediction for the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So we got a good fight coming up in November. At least I'm hoping it is a good fight between Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant for the undisputed title at 168 pounds. Canelo Alvarez is considered to be a top pound for pound fighter by a lot of people. The top pound for pound fighter by a lot of people. And among the top pound for pound fighters by pretty much everybody that doesn't hold his his performance enhancing drug suspension against him. And then you have Caleb Plant, who is he's the IBF. Please forgive me if he's anything other than the IBF, but I believe he's the IBF champion at 168 pounds. And that is the last belt that is needed for Canelo Alvarez to get the undisputed title. And if Caleb Plant can beat Canelo Alvarez, then he gets all three of the belts and he's the undisputed champion, right? So it's a big fight, but not a fight that a lot of people are really wondering or giving Caleb Plant a big chance to win, right? Now, Andre Ward, who has inserted himself in the discussion for this fight for a little while, comes out and says that he believes that the fight is not going to go the distance, right? And that he picks Caleb Plant to win the fight. So if you put those two sentences together, that would mean that Andre Ward is picking Caleb Plant to beat Caleb Plant to beat Canelo Alvarez by knockout. Now, if that is true, I'm going to tell you that would be one of the biggest upsets in years. Matter of fact, it might be as big an upset as maybe like Lennox Lewis versus Hakeem Rahman, or Vladimir Klitschko versus Corey Sanders or Layman Brewster. But, a very, very long time. Maybe, there you go. It'll be a big as upset as Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz. And in the way that people are weighing this fight, there's next to nobody giving Caleb Plant a chance to win this fight, man. So when I read the title, actually it's a Boxing News 24 video article. So please make sure, if you want to read it, go to boxingnews24.com. Also, I think the audio on it was Max on Boxing with an interview between Max Kellerman and Andre Ward where he said it. But this is what I think about it. I think that Andre Ward is being supportive of Caleb Plant, and that he is going to ride with Caleb Plant and give as much positive energy to Caleb Plant as he can. Back when Caleb Plant, when tapes were originally shown of Andre Ward training, or not training, but giving pointers to Caleb Plant, there was a lot of speculation that Ward was involved in his camp. Andre Ward comes out and says, no, I'm not involved in his camp. There's a lot of people. I have a relationship with Caleb Plant. He's a hard worker. He loves the sport. So I'm going to give him my 2 cents on, what I see going on in the ring in the fight between he and Canelo Alvarez, and what he would need to do in order to beat Canelo Alvarez, right? So right there, you knew that he was involved he's involved in supporting Caleb Plant in the fight. And I think that this prediction is really just more of the same. He says that he doesn't believe that the fight is going to go, that he doesn't believe it's going to go to the distance. But at the same time, Andre Ward isn't dumb. And he also says things in that interview that can make me believe that, yeah, he's probably just really supporting Caleb Plant. Because what he says is, and I thought it was funny, is that, even in the press conference, that Caleb Plant couldn't hit Canelo Alvarez with a sucker punch. So if you can't hit him with a sucker punch in a press conference, what are you going to do when you get in the ring and Canelo Alvarez knows those punches are coming at you, right? So he's obviously, aware that this is a big, that this is a big challenge for for Canelo Alvarez. I mean, for Caleb Plant, but he's probably just supporting his guy and wishing him the best. Kind of like I'm sure there are a lot of people who are really supporting Deontay Wilder in this last fight with Tyson Fury, who would say, yeah, it's going to be for the knockout. It's the knockout. I'm going to bet on the knockout. In the back of their minds, they might have known that there's a chance that they were going to lose that. Or a better example of that is where Teofimo Lopez was talking about it was talking about some fighter that he was going to put $100,000 on a fight. Oh, I think it was maybe Rolly Romero, where he said he was going to bet $100,000 on Rolly Romero over Gervonta Davis because Rolly Romero's his guy. So that's how he considered himself supporting him, because he was going to support the dude that, he's going to support him with his money, right? So Andre Ward is probably just supporting Caleb Plant in every way that he can. Now, I will say this, that although I don't see that there's much of a chance of Caleb Plant stopping Canelo Alvarez, I have been surprised by Caleb Plant in the past. Very surprised by Caleb Plant in the past, specifically in the Jose Escudegi fight. And Caleb Plant brings this up a lot. Caleb Plant dropped him a couple times early in that fight, and I think won pretty much a one-sided fight against Jose Escudegi. And not a lot of people were giving Caleb Plant a chance to beat Jose Escudegi, and he really did show that he had power, and he showed that, and he performed significantly better than people thought he did, and he won that fight going away. So if you look at him in this weight class, I mean, Caleb Plant has pretty much won all of his fights going away. There's no significant weakness that Caleb Plant has shown yet. So I think that Caleb Plant is a much liver dog than people are giving him credit for. I don't think this is a fight like the Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith fight, or the Caleb Plant or the Canelo Alvarez fight versus Yaldemir or even Billy Joe Saunders, where those guys, I don't really think they ever came in there with an idea that they could win the fight. And I think that they pretty much were just there for a big paycheck and to check out. From what I can see from Caleb Plant is in there, and he's not there for the paycheck. He's there to come to win. And he definitely has a lot of skills and is a very slick fighter. If there's going to be a knockout in the fight, though, I think the knockout would come from Canelo Alvarez, even though I'm telling you, I don't think that that's going to be the case. The way that I see the fight coming out is I see the fight coming out as a decision, and there'll be some rounds where Caleb Plant is really giving Canelo Alvarez some looks. The risk for Canelo Alvarez, though, is if Canelo Alvarez just goes in there and he really thinks that he's going to be able to just walk down Caleb Plant and get him out of there, and it winds up that that's not the case, right? If he winds up going in there and getting countered or having this guy have more hand speed or a longer range jab than he expected, it could be some problems for it. But the way that boxing works and the way that, the favoritism and the judging work, I think is going to be very, very tough for Caleb Plant to get a decision. And I'm not 100% in agreements where Canelo's like, Andre Ward, like, it's definitely going to go, it's not going to go the distance. I'm leaning towards it more going the distance. Unless Caleb Plant, just says he's going to go for his, and he really believes, like, look, man, the only way I can win this is by hurting Canelo Alvarez. And he does what Andre Ward told him to do, which is go in there and rattle his cage. But all in all, man, I'm looking forward to the fight. I think it's a better fight than a lot of people say. I don't believe necessarily that Andre Ward is believing what he's saying, but we'll see as everything kind of comes out in the wash. That's my opinion. It's my opinion. You let me know your opinion in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe share the video, subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.